अच्युतादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम जय गंधर्विका गिरधारी गौर हरि जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय अनंत देव लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय अनंत देव जय निताय गौर सुंदर जय निताय गौर सुंदर निताय गौर सुंदर जय निताय गौर सुंदर जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद हरि नाम संकीर्तन श्रील प्रभुपाद ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, titled as Contents of Gita Summarized, verse number 3. Klebhyam gama partha netatva upapadayate shudram hridaya daurbalyam त्यक्त्वा उत्तिष्ठितपरन्तपा क्लेब्यमास्मगमं पार्थ नैतत्त्वय उपपादयते शूद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्त्वा उत्तिष्ठितपरन्तपा क्लेब्यमास्मगमः पार्थ नैतत्त्वय उपपादयते शूद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्त्वा उत्तिष्ठितपरन्तपा क्लेब्यमास्मगमः पार्थ नैतत्त्वय उपपद्यते शूद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्त्वा उत्तिष्ठितपरन्तपा क्लेब्यमास्मगमः पार्थ नैतत्त्वय उपपद्यते शूद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्त्वा उत्तिष्ठितपरन्तपा Mataji, you like to? Sure, no problem. We'll read word to word meaning. Plebyam, importance. Masma, do not. Gamaha, take to. Partha, O son of Pratha. Na, never. Etat, this. Tvai, on to you. Upapadyate, is befitting. Shudram, petty. Hridaya, of the heart. Daurbalyam, weakness. Tyaktva, giving up. Uttishtitha, get up. Param tapa, O chastiser of the enemies. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. O son of Pratha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of enemy. Purport. Arjun was addressed as son of Pratha, who happened to be sister of Krishna's father, Vasudeva. Therefore, Arjun had a blood relationship with Krishna. If the son of a Kshatriya declines to fight, he is a Kshatriya in the name only. And if the son of Brahmana acts impiously, he is a Brahmana in the name only. Such Kshatriyas and Brahmanas are unworthy sons of their fathers. Therefore, Krishna did not want Arjun to become an unworthy son of a Kshatriya. Arjun was the most intimate friend of Krishna, and Krishna was directly guiding him on the chariot. But in spite of all these credits, if Arjun abandoned the battle, he would be committing an infamous act. Therefore, Krishna said that such an attitude in Arjun did not fit his personality. Arjun might argue that he would give up the battle on the grounds of his magnanimous attitude for the most respectable Bhishma and his relatives. But Krishna considered that sort of magnanimity mere weakness of heart. Such false magnanimity was not approved by any authority. Therefore, such magnanimity or so called non-violence should be given up by persons like Arjun under the direct guidance of Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurum Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you to the evening Gita class. So this is an important verse where, so this verse is spoken by whom? Arjun or Krishna or Sanjay or whom? This verse is spoken by Krishna, and this is the second verse in which Krishna is speaking. Right? Krishna just started speaking a verse before, uh, and why did Krishna had to speak? What was the reason? Because in the first chapter, what has happened? It all started with Dhritarashtra speaking, and then Duryodhana going to Dronacharya, and then Arjun asked Krishna, Krishna, can you please take my chariot in the midst of battlefield? I want to see who has come here to fight. Who is there with whom I am going to fight? And Krishna very willingly takes. Krishna being a Bhakt Vatsalya, he is always ready to serve his devotees. So Krishna was very happy. But Krishna is also Krishna, right? So what did he do? Krishna could have put the chariot in front of Shakuni and the Shasan and Duryodhana and everyone. But what did Krishna do? Where did he put the chariot? He put the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona. He didn't find anyone else suitable to put the chariot. So and why did he do that? Krishna would not do anything without a reason. So what was the reason that Krishna put the chariot in front of Drona and Bhishma? Krishna had to, deliver an important message to humanity, right? And he was not finding any suitable opportunity more than this, because he wanted to give many messages to human beings, right? And here he thought that this is the most suitable time. And what is he going to give? He's going to give, a divine song for all of us. And who became the kind of the receiver of that song? Who was the first receiver? Arjun was the first receiver, right? And in order for Arjun to receive, he had to kind of sacrifice something. Sacrifice, him being his one of the names of Arjun is Godakesha. What does that mean? That he would be able to wake up. He doesn't need sleep actually to get sufficient rest. And there's one more meeting. It's just not sleep. That he is never in ignorance. And now what does Krishna do? Krishna intentionally, literally puts him in ignorance with the help of Yogmaya, right? So Krishna's devotee, when Krishna wants to reciprocate with them, it's not that they are under Mahamaya, they are under Krishna's superior energy. And Krishna just put a curtain in front of Arjun. And as soon as that curtain fall in front of Arjun, what happened? He says, Krishna, I think so I'm not able to fight. I will not be able to fight. And what reasons did he give? He gave four reasons in chapter first. And those questions, like when we are studying for our exams like medical or engineering or even board exams, whatever, you have to put some acronyms in order to help you remember those things. So here we put an acronym C, D, E, and F, right? So that were four reasons he gave in the first chapter, right? And what was that? C for compassion for Duryodhan, Dushasan, compassion for everyone, and specifically who was in front of him? Bhishma, his grandfather, loving grandfather, whom he loved, and who, Bhishma would love Arjun so much. Arjun was so dear to Bhishma, right? And so was for Drona. Their relationship was very deep, right? So seeing them and seeing everyone there, his relatives, his friends, everyone, he said, you know, how can I fight with them? So he was overcome with compassion. And what was the other reason? D was destruction of family tradition, right? So he said that, here almost everyone has gathered, right? What for? To fight. And if there is a fight amongst them, it was understood that all these great personalities are going to die. And if all of them, people like uh, Bhishma, Drona, all of them, if they are going to die, then what will happen to rest of the humanity? What will happen if the leaders die? If the you know Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 3.21, what does he say? That the leaders have to live by giving an example, and therefore the people in general will follow them, right? So that is very important. That is very important concern, and Arjun knew it very well. Arjun was, knower of Vedas. He was not any uh, Tom, Dick, and Harry. He was very learned. So he knew that if everyone assembled here would die, then there will be destruction of the dynasty, right? And then third reason was E. E was what? Enjoyment after victory. So he said, if my relatives, my friends, my brothers, my uncle, if they are all going to die, then how am I going to enjoy? You do anything in this world, what is the motive? To enjoy, right? That is the main aim of people who are living here on this material world, in this material world. And he said that if everyone is going to die, then what's the use, right? And what was the fourth reason he gave? F. What was F? Fear of sinful reactions. He said, like, if I am the cause of Drona, Bhishma being killed, then will I not be responsible for all this? Will I not incur sins? So, they were seemingly very, very valid reasons. But what does Prabhupada say about it? Very heavily, in the purport of 2.1. And that's very interesting, actually. This would have been read, but it is related to uh, this verse 2.3, and related to the context we are reading. So, Prabhupada says that any kind of material compassion or lamentation, or also called tears, do they have any value? He says that they are all out of ignorance. Very heavy. When we see people crying, we'll, oh, why are you crying? Can I help you and all this? But here, you know, in line with Krishna, Prabhupada is following the disciplic succession of Krishna. Prabhupada will also repeat as it is what Krishna is saying, right? And then Prabhupada gives a very good example. Prabhupada gives an example of, does it make any sense if you pull the dress of a drowning person? He says it's senseless. If a person is drowning in the ocean and you just go and pull his dress and the person still sinks in, is there any use? No. So he says that, is there any use if everyone is drowning in the ocean of nescience? If everyone is drowning in the ocean of nescience, what is the use if you just go and look at the gross body and try to save that, while the soul is going towards hell? And he says that is ignorance. And he says, then the people who are after it, people who are in gross ignorance of this fact and who only look at the gross body, they are called as Shudra. They're called as Shudra. Which is why it is said in Vedas, then in Kali Yuga, almost everyone is a Shudra. And this word is being repeated by Krishna here, you know, as kind of a verbal slap on Arjun. The chosen words which Krishna is is reciting here for Arjun. What are these? Klepyam. What does klepyam mean? Klepyam, we read it means impotence. Impotence. Now, as soon as Krishna said impotence, what happened? Arjuna remembered of his curse, his 1 year when he was made impotent, right? What was his name then? And Duryodhana, he was a super diplomat. He was an administrator of par excellence. He knew that these five Pandavas are so virtuous, they will not be able to hide anywhere. They will not be able to hide themselves. It is impossible. Wherever they are, there will be prosperity. Everyone knows them so well, and their every action is so uh, well evident that I will be able to catch hold of them, and that is why he gave a condition of agyatwas, you know, incognito. You will have to live an year of life of incognito, where no one should be able to recognize you. And here is a blessing. It is said that in the life of a devotee, whatever happens, it is for good. When there is so-called happiness, everyone feels, but a devotee feels always that whatever comfort there are in my life, whatever happiness there is in my life, it is by the mercy of Krishna. And if there is some kind of discomfort, some kind of sorrow, it is also by the blessings of Krishna. And there would be some good behind it. And here you go in the life of Arjun, when he was cursed, to be impotent for an year. This very curse in the life of Arjun, as a Prabhupada writes in this purport 2.3, that he is the dearmost friend of Krishna. And him being the dearmost friend of Krishna, he was blessed by that curse, that he was able to live a life of incognito, right? He became teacher for Mother Uttara, right? So he would teach her dancing and everything. So, but him being living a life of an impotent person, you know that was very degrading. Although it helped, but for all the Pandavas, they were so humble, they were so polite, they would serve with humility, the king of Virata, and their different services. But for a Kshatriya like Arjun, how are Kshatriyas known? At that time, if you see in current population, there are more men or women. Generally more men, right? If you see, men are more than, 55 to 45, 60 to 40. But at that time, the women will be more than men, right? And so kings would generally marry, the Kshatriyas would marry more than one, right? And here, Kshatriya, like, they can be any other Kshatriya, but Kshatriya as powerful as Arjun, he was never defeated by anyone in his life. Was he defeated by anyone? I think so. He was defeated once because he had some kind of curse by, his son or someone, uh, but never by, any other, any of his contenders. No, never. He was the most powerful Kshatriya. He was made impotent. And Krishna repeating that again, it's kind of, it's kind of a verbal slap on him, reminding him of what, are you carrying forward that importance here, right? So it is explained that they are actions, they are some kind of, some actions are thoughtless actions that you just do it whimsically, you never think of, and you just do it, like, and Arjuna was saying that if we also fall into this line of thoughtless actions, like, what would be, there will be dire consequences if we kill everyone, which is what he said, all the 4 points, right? C, D, E, and F. So he said that there would be dire consequences, it's going to be like a thoughtless action, so not to do that. While what was Krishna saying? Krishna saying, no, if you run away from the battlefield, it's kind of a spineless inaction. It's a kind of an spineless inaction, inactivity, which has no meaning. Like, if a responsible, like, if there is a chaos, outside, and if a policeman, he sees the chaos and he runs away, what kind of a police person he is, right? So if Arjuna had to fight for what? Fight to establish dharma, right? Not fighting to gain kingdom, but he is a leader in the society. He is a Kshatriya, right? He is a friend and a devotee of Krishna. He is representing Krishna, right? And Krishna reminds that also in this verse by saying Parth, right? Parth means son of Pratha. And who is Pratha? Sister of Vasudev, right? So Maharani Kunti. Maharani Kunti name was Pratha, right? Before she went to Kunti Bhoj. So, and by this, what is Krishna reminding him? That you are my relative, my dear friend, my dear brother. Please don't bring infamy to you and me. huh? We say, we say कि अपने माँ बाप का तो ध्यान रख, हैं? बदनामी करवाया पूरे खानदान की, हैं? That is what Krishna is saying here. At least care for your, rich heritage. At least care for me, right? Your friend. So he was kind of chastising him, right? And he had to chastise him because he was reminding him that, you cannot be like this. You cannot be like, your spineless inaction is only going to bring destruction in the society. Why would it bring destruction in the society? Because if kings like Duryodhana rule, what will happen? Total chaos, right? Total chaos, 100%. Like, it is said that if we are running away from justice, in case we are running away from justice, it's not, it's not your, you are being merciful, but it's actually very, very dangerous. You have to do the justice, and if you run away from them, it's going to be very, very dangerous. Now, for example, if there is a sex abuser, right? There is someone who would bully children, who would exploit children, and and there is an officer, right? A district magistrate, you know, will kind of, oh, you know, he says, oh, I'm having pity on this person, and I'll just forgive him. Is it fine? Is it real mercy? Real mercy is to punish that person. Why is it real mercy? Because by him being blindly merciful to this person, the judge is being merciless to n number of other children who would be exploited by this person. So, a real leader in the society, right, should know where he should show the mercy, which is why Krishna says, Arjun, this is this your action is your this inaction is kind of spineless. And then what did Krishna recommend? Krishna recommend that neither it should be thoughtless action nor it should be spineless inaction. It should be thoughtful and forceful action. And what kind of thoughtful action? Thoughtful action in a sense that you have to establish dharma, you have to establish morality, you have to establish spirituality. That is thoughtful, right? And what do you mean by forceful? That while establishing this, you have to be assertive. If you have to do, you have to do. If you have to punish someone who is a miscreant, who is destroying the society, you have to take action. So it should neither be a thoughtless action or a spineless inaction, but it should be thoughtful and forceful action, right? What are the other words that Krishna use here? Klebyam asamagamaha partha. That Parth, don't go towards being impotent. No. Netatve upapadyate. Upapadyate means it is netatve. It is not befitting to you, my dear friend. Don't do that. Right? It is not befitting to you. So, for example, if there is a very learned, kind of very sincere student, you know, and if a teacher says, don't be foolish, right? So that's kind of a chastisement to this student, which is what Krishna is saying. It is not befitting you, Arjun. It's not befitting you. Don't fool around with yourself and with others' life. Shudram hridaya dorbalyam. Now comes Shudram. And there are people in the society who don't understand. They will comment, hey, Bhagavad Gita also talks about this caste system and all. And what is Prabhupada translating Shudra here as? Pity, small mindedness. It's not the caste which is being talked about here. It's not being the caste which is talked about here. It is the his small mindedness, his being pity, Shudram. Don't don't act. But this again is a very, very heavy word for a Kshatriya, right? And for a Kshatriya like Arjun. If the weakness of heart, you are being compassionate to a person who don't deserve it. Like if a doctor sees a patient suffering out of a tumor in his body, and if a surgeon says, no, 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 I will not give him an incision, I'll not cut him because it will, he will bleed and it may pain him. So is he a wise doctor? you know that patient may be one of his relatives, right? Even if the patient is a relative, should doctor run away from doing surgery? Because surgery is the only mean wherein the surgeon can protect the patient. And herein also we say that surgery, that by doing that surgery, by fighting in this battlefield for establishing dharma, Arjun cannot run away from his responsibility. And Prabhupada says that second chapter is all about what? It Prabhupada very nicely titled as Contents of Gita Summarized. And this is one of the most beautiful chapters of Bhagavad Gita. If a person has understood this chapter nicely, it has everything. So thereafter it will be a cakewalk for that reader. If this chapter is understood nicely, thereafter it's a cakewalk, because this chapter has everything. And Krishna, for now, he's kind of giving a pep talk to Arjun. What is a pep talk? Like trying to encourage him, trying to encourage someone to, motivate someone and to do perform his duty of work. So until now, Arjun is kind of a talking with him as a friend. It's not a serious conversation between the two. He saw that Arjun is kind of emotionally, uh, covered. So Krishna was also trying to just speak in order to remove his emotional setback. It's Krishna is not talking philosophy here. Krishna is using strong words so that to remove his Arjun's emotion. But Arjun depression was not superficial. It will not be removed by this pep talk, because he would give counter arguments against this in subsequent verses. But finally, what happens is Arjun says, Krishna, I'm confused. Krishna, I'm confused and I need your help. I know you are the person who can help me out of this problem. He realized, Arjun was smart. He realized that he's kind of confused. He doesn't understand, if he's correct in doing what he is doing, or so he finally surrendered onto Krishna. He surrendered to him as a disciple. Until then, he was a friend. And thereafter, Krishna takes the position of a guide, guru. Until now, it's a part of, but thereafter it starts guidance. And we takes control of the rein of the chariot, and Krishna takes control of Arjun as a guide, as a guru. What is the first instruction he gives? That you are not this body. And there is an analytical explanation, right? Differentiation between body and soul, and establishing the fact that you are this soul. So, chapter 2 basically helps us to understand, to realize, what does self realization mean? To understand that this self is not body, this self is the soul, and that is self realization. And Prabhupada says, how can you come to that platform? Right? Prabhupada says very nicely. He says that this realization is possible when one works without attachment to fruitive results and is situated in the fixed conception of real self. Right? And Krishna also says, Janma karma chame devyam evam yuveti tattvataha. It should be very strong understanding. It should not be superficial. It cannot be superficial. And which is what Prabhupada is writing here. One has to be situated in the fixed conception of the real self. Right? So here it is everything. Sakam karm, nishkam karm, and then comes the instruction of someone who is fully sense controlled and self-realized. Sthita pragya. Right? So this chapter has everything for the readers. And herein Krishna is saying that your weakness of heart, like your compassion for this gross body is befitting to Shudras, not to a Kshatriya. Kshatriya knows that you're not this body. So Kshatriyas, and especially Arjun, was sent to Gurukul. He has learned everything, right? So again, a very strong word. And thereafter, what does Krishna says in the last line? Tyaktva uttishtita. Uttishtita means get up. Uttishtita means get up. What for? Get up and go to the forest? Get up and perform your duty, perform your responsibility. You cannot run away from your responsibility. You have to get up. And the last word is again very important. Parantapa. Parantapa means chastiser of enemy. He single-handedly was able to defeat many warriors like Karna, Bhishma, and Drona. Wherein did he defeat them? In the battle of Virata, right? Single-handedly, Arjun. Now, there was one more Kshatriya there in that battlefield who actually came to fight with the Kauravas. Who was that? Uttar. Actually, Arjun came as a chariot driver while Uttara was supposed to fight. But when Uttara was running, Arjun said, "Hey, hold on. You take care of the chariot and I'll take care of them." So there was another Kshatriya who was running away. But, it was not too belittling for him, for Uttar. They are many Kshatriyas. But here was Kshatriya like Arjun, who, whose famous was not only on earth, even demigods. They knew who he was. All the demigods knew him very well. He was so blessed, right? So there was this Kshatriya, Parantapa, who had conquered all the enemies, who could chastise all his enemies. And then there was one more incident where again, he defeated not many Kshatriyas. When was that? At the Swamvar of Draupadi. When Arjun won Draupadi, what happened? That all the Kshatriyas, they came to fight and kill him. And, he easily defeated them. And that includes Karna also, right? And then again, you know, they were sent to forest by our dear friend Duryodhan. They were sent to forest. But that was not enough for Duryodhan. That is the wicked mind of a materialistic person. He would not live in peace and he don't want anyone to live in peace. And here you go, Duryodhana. They were in the forest, living, very, very austere life. But then again, he wanted to disturb them. He wanted to tease them. And what did Duryodhan do? He came there with his party. You know, it's he put a tent just besides their, hermitage, and he was kind of making fun of them, enjoying there and everything. And then, Krishna has his own plan for these rascals, right? So what did Krishna do? Krishna sent Gandharvas there, right? So what did those Gandharvas do? Now this Duryodhana, and he was kind of very, very arrogant. You know, he was very arrogant. He would not talk to anyone, nicely. And he happened to had a fight with Gandharvas, and all of them, including Karna, had a fight. And what happened finally? They had to run for their life, and they captured Duryodhan there, right? Karna and everyone had to run for their life. But then Yudhishthira, when he came to know, he said, "No, this, our fight is internal within the family. We cannot let anyone outside, bother us. So go and protect Duryodhan." And then Arjun single-handedly, he took care of all the Gandharvas and he rescued. So he was Parantapa. Parantapa. Tapa means someone who gives a hard time to his enemies, right? And he would give hard time. And here is this person, you know, who actually by Krishna's arrangement, right? It was not him, right? He knew what his dharma is, but it was Krishna's arrangement for whom? For all of us, right? Otherwise, where we would be, all of us, if this Bhagavad Gita was not there, if Prabhupada was not there, then where we would be, right? So this is arrangement of Krishna for all of us, that Krishna put his beloved friend and devotee into illusion under Yog Maya. Now there is one more important thing. Why Krishna had to do all this, reciting and singing this song in the battlefield? Why? He could have done this elsewhere also. He would always meet Arjun. even before the battlefield and after. Why on the battlefield he had to sing this song? The essence of Vedas. Why? Why? Because he wanted to establish. Why don't you see people taking spiritual life seriously? One reason they will give is, I'm busy. I'm busy. There's no time, right? And here, is there anything more important and more urgent than the battlefield? Is there anything more urgent than the battle? And here you go. It's the largest battlefield in the history. This is going to be, right. How many akshonis of Sena? And then Krishna said, no, I want to establish that for this, anything can stop, anything can wait. So when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to spiritual life, we should give it top priority. And Krishna, by singing this on the battlefield, in the midst of battlefield, he again establishes that fact that this is the most important thing we have to take care of, right? So, you know, Prabhupada gives so many examples, so many explanations here that if we are not what we are, if we just take the title and if we don't perform the responsibility, then we are not any better than a Shudra, right? That is not what we should be. Whatever we are, it's not just being a Kshatriya or a Brahmana. Whatever we are, right? We should perform our responsibility, and specifically, when we say whatever we are, primarily what are we? We are soul. And if we are not living to revive ourselves, what are we living in? You understand, like from a medical term, if we talk about, when you forget something, what do we call? There is a medical term which is known as amnesia. Loss of memory is amnesia. And there is an amnesia, anterograde amnesia. you know so when an accident occurs, the things which happen after the accident and you forget them. And there are the things before the accident you forget. So there is a retrograde amnesia and there is a anterograde amnesia, right? So here all of us are also suffering from loss of memory. And what's the loss of memory? Is our relationship with Jivere Sarup Hoy, Nitya Krishna Das. So we are all having retrograde amnesia. And what does the physician do for these patients? Huh? Yeah, that can be, but one of the important measure is to kind of bring things what he has done before in his past life. Show him people with whom he has lived before, right? You might have seen that in movies, right? याददाश्त भूल गए तो कैसे, you take him to places, where you should take him to places, incidences and people. And what are we doing here in Krishna consciousness? Why do we say that we have to look for Radha and Krishna, worship him, chant his names, read Bhagavad Gita, read one? What is this? This is the same treatment for retrograde amnesia. So this is the primary responsibility, to treat ourselves from this retrograde amnesia, the forgetfulness of that we are the soul, right? So that is why Krishna spoke this important message in the midst of battlefield. So we should all take it seriously, and try to help ourselves. And if we have helped ourselves, then we should also try to help the society. Yeah, right. Chetan Mahaprabhu says that kara paropkar, right? Yeah. Janma sarthak kari, first janma sarthak karo, and if you have, then try to help others also, right? Help others. They are our friends, they are our brothers, sisters, so we should try to help. So that is what we do here in Krishna consciousness, try to help the society. So let's take all these things sincerely, seriously in our own lives, and also try to help the society at large. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Thank you. Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada.